All right. So pertaining to the Diddy and Justin Bieber situation, I was watching this, and I think it was the Candace show where, and it was Candace, it was what's the other lady name? A bunch of people that was just talking about how what Diddy did to Justin Bieber is just so horrible, and he needs to go to jail. And to me, I feel like while we are so it seems like everybody's so outraged, right, about what happened with Justin Bieber. And the other lady, what's her name? Something Jaguar. She had how, basically Justin Bieber was basically pimped out, right, by Duddy, because I don't know if we can even say his name on here. But at the end of the day, yeah, everybody's outraged because it happened to Justin Bieber because Justin Bieber is popular. But I'm pretty sure that Diddy probably has tapes of uh, pretty much a lot of all of these other people that are in Hollywood too doing the exact same thing. Now, of course, it may not be to somebody who's famous like Justin Bieber, but all of these children that are being human trafficked every day, who are they being trafficked for? The elites, okay? Whether it's for human sacrifice or for to be toys, sex toys, or whatever you want to call it, is happening to them too. You see what I'm saying? Nobody's outraged or seems to be outraged about the satanic ritual abuse, children that are disappearing every day, but the same thing is happening to them. But we get one person that's famous and everybody's outraged and then they should go to jail. All of them need to go to jail. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think personally that, for one, if I have my daughter was 14 and I say, okay, you can go here, I'm not monitoring her. For one, you're not going anywhere without, my permission. And so, one, I think it's the parents' fault, greed or whatever you want to call it. Um, Two, you got a minor who don't know anything and you introduce them to drugs and all this other stuff. For one, they get him hooked to where he's needing it, wanting it, or the quantity is so much that, you're addicted. So I feel that Diddy was guilty because a couple of things you see that he purposely drugged people with this liquid cocaine and what else? Liquid cocaine and something else.
Hmm. But do you think he's actually going to go to jail? Because keep in mind, he has tapes of all of these people doing stuff. Probably even the judge that's going to be making the decision on the case. So do you really think there's really justice for people who are this high up anyway? I mean,
No, I think
y'all don't think he
no.
has tapes of the judge?
Yeah, he has tapes of everybody, but I think that's probably what took so long to bring him to uh to get him arrested, to arrest him, because I think it was a cleanup. They're going to expose some people, but they're not going to expose everybody. So I think that was the purpose of the cleanup, because some of that they're trying to clean so those people that they don't want, the elites, if you will, are not going to be exposed.
Okay, go ahead, Joanne.
I think the outrage on his end, and I know you mentioned Justin Bieber. I think prior to this incident, a lot of or the mass public just heard rumblings or they saw grainy video. But I think it's more realistic. It's more in our faces now that, oh wait, this is true. All the stuff we've been hearing. I'm sorry. Hope you can edit that part out. Was true. So I think that's more of the majority of the outrage, and yes, of course, Justin Bieber as well. Um, but yeah, I think also the will he go down? I hope so, but there's also people saying that he a lot of that stuff also it's like learned behavior that also happened to him as well. I'm sure maybe he took it to a next level,
Mhm.
but there's also that part of it. And going back to what we've been talking about in class about trauma and, being fractured. I'm not making any excuses for him, but you have to kind of think about those things. Like if that happened to him at a young age, then what part of who we see is, what percentage of who we're seeing of him is him and not something else that's operating through him. Um, but yeah, and I think, yeah, you're right. I think a lot of it is a cleanup, and maybe there were high profile people involved that they didn't know they were on tape, and it's a matter of like getting things under control, and somebody has to fall. Somebody usually has to pay the price for that. And I mean, sadly, it's looking like it might be him on some level. It might be him.
But if this is the thing, if he was really blackmailing people, like they say that he has, and that's why he's had so much control, then don't you think that he has tapes that, what I'm saying, that he can use as leverage? Like even in jail, you don't think he has somebody or people in place to say, hey, if this happens to me, release these tapes? Go ahead, Nadia.
I was just gonna say that eventually, kind of like what you guys are saying is like, yes, there's a cleanup. These are people not really trying to help bring everything to the light, but just get everything so they can cover certain people. And it might be kind of like the whole Epstein thing that Diddy disappears, or um,
Yeah,
commit suicide in jail. It's like you never know, but they already have a
or
plan
really
for this.
committed suicide, right? So you can
There's no way
say
you
he
can
committed
do.
suicide. I mean, Tupac is in Cuba. You see what I'm saying? Like he's
I
not dead.
believe it.
Wait
So
a second. We got to talk about that later, but okay, go ahead.
I don't think that you can do this type of, I mean, patience. He might be doing all this sex magic, and there's no way that he's not protected. That's
of course not, but I'm sure it was done to him. Okay, because apparently the same thing that was done to Justin Bieber was not only done to Justin Bieber, it happened to Usher too, and the rest of them that Diddy so-called mentored.
But I also think, and I don't know how true that is, that uh, Usher was the one who, I guess, maybe managed or not ushered him in, but brought Bieber in, or kind of like discovered him.
Hmm.
So it was on some level, because there's also an interview of Usher and Howard Stern and talking about his experience of Diddy, and when Howard Stern asked him, "Would you send your kids to Diddy camp?" He almost immediately said no. But here you are sending a young kid like Justin to him, knowing what happened to you. So then it's kind of like repeating the same thing that happens. It's just it's just very, I don't even know the word to put to it, but knowing that happened to you, you would send this kid who has no idea. And you see that video of Justin and that innocence in his eyes, just like, and knowing that maybe the next hour something happened. So it's just very, very complex.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, do you think it's programming? Because when we look at even understanding like the satanic ritual abuse programming and things like that, and even Illuminati programming, when they do this, whatever they do to one person, they program them to continue that. You see what I'm saying? So it's done to him, he does it to someone else, everybody else that he mentors, he does it to. So it's not like, they're all in this, so to take one person and throw them down under the bus, I think all of them need to be exposed. Go ahead. It's Nadia and then Joanne.
No, I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
Go ahead, Joanne.
Hey, Patience, I don't know if you saw, and I saw this years ago. I wish I would have saved that article. Basically, of Justin Bieber talking about, and I think TMZ found him years ago, and that's, I think, when he was kind of like going through his stage where he canceled his concerts and all that stuff. But he basically talked about seeing kids, stuff happen to kids, and how much that messed him up.
Hmm.
And that interview scrubbed from the internet, by the way. You can't find it on like the print part. But I remember the one of TMZ as well, where they called him out and they said, "Hey, what's going on?" He was like, "You know what's going on, like like almost like as if, yeah, you guys are you're all in on it, so you know the reason why this has happened or why I'm doing this is because of something that I witnessed."
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just and he's mentioned something with kids, so I'm sure he saw whatever they do that
Mhm.
we're just now gonna find out about, or
Yeah.
everybody else will.
Yeah. Go ahead, Desiree.
I feel like P Diddy is on the down. He's gay, and he doesn't want it. He's got one face that he's all cool, and he got all this women, but on the down low, he's bisexual. So
They
like
all
Cat
gay
Will.
though. Aren't they all gay? Just saying. They all everything.
So I think they catch him doing an act like Cat Williams said. You go to these parties, and the back room is men doing men, and then they got something on you, right? So that you in this gay club on the down low. So if you say anything, they'll release it. You
But that's
know,
the thing. Is a lot of this stuff even legitimate? Or is it just a whole bunch of people that's mad at Diddy for doing that? For example, right? From a lot of people have said that they give people the put people stuff into people's drinks and then they don't know. They think they're just drinking a regular drink and they've put that stuff in there, and the stuff that they put in it is designed to, make them do things that they wouldn't normally do. So imagine how many people that has been done to who have gone to these parties. Maybe that's what happened to TD Jakes. Maybe some say like they've gone to these parties thinking they're just having a regular drink, and before you know it, they're on camera doing stuff, and now they find out later and they're angry.
right,
How
right.
much of this do you think is that?
That could be part of it too. But I definitely do believe that the elites, as you call them, they have to have a pawn. You get into the industry. Um, I think it's I would say a requirement. What I'm saying? People go to parties to get higher up. You have to do certain things to be initiated in, and I think one of them is getting a gay footage of you or doing drugs is part of the process.
Yeah, and then Jaguar Wright, I think she was talking about how, I don't know if that's her name. Um, they literally busted in this very graphic Justin Bieber's bottom, and he was at the hospital.
That was Usher.
No, she said for both of them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part. Okay.
He went to
Um,
the hospital because his butt was bleeding or something, so he was raped.
I mean, on one of the videos that she did, she talked about how he was basically they were basically using him, all around. And you would see other little clips of where all of these celebrities would just be feeling on him, like in public, on Justin Bieber.
That's sad.
Yeah, I seen that too.
Yeah, almost like they made him their,
Boy toy.
exactly.
Also, I think what needs to be said is that you're right about did somebody has to be the pawn, but that's been happening even like for the Playboy Mansion. I guess maybe Hugh Hefner was a little bit too powerful. I don't know what the reason why they didn't go after Hugh Hefner back then. And there he used to record stuff as I mean, it's what I heard. Don't know how true that is, but that used to go on back then, and you hear about tunnels leading from the Playboy Mansion to Diddy's house. So it's like it's just kind of interesting that he has to be the pawn. I don't know if maybe he took it too far, and it's kind of like as let's put him in his place. Let's control that situation. It could be that as well, but I just kind of wonder why didn't they just go after the other guy instead?
Yeah,
Ma-
it's almost like they're using Justin Bieber as a way of as a like a way to pity the whole situation to take Diddy down, because at the end of the day, they're all doing the same thing in Hollywood. Like again, all of the children that are being human trafficked, they're being human trafficked for the elites. So this is happening to much more than just Usher and the names that we know that are popular. So this is my thing. If you really hate what's happening with this so much and you want to take it all down. You see what I'm saying? Don't just try to take one person down and try to make everybody feel sorry for Justin Bieber and Usher when it's deep. Y'all know it's deeper than that. And there's tapes of the same people that's trying to take him down doing this to other people's children who may not be famous that have been human trafficked. Go ahead.
But didn't Epstein have the same thing? Well, I guess maybe they weren't. I don't know, but I thought Epstein pretty much did that too. There were a lot of like higher ups that frequented his island and was involved in all that. But yeah, it's just interesting to me that it would be. I mean, Diddy definitely, i- if he's involved. Oh, I mean, I don't want to because it's all alleged. But I don't want to, But if he's involved, he should definitely pay. But I just kind of makes me wonder, like, you had so many examples, but this one is like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, why all of a sudden is the focus is on Diddy and Justin Bieber? You know what I'm saying? It's very, very strategically done. And I feel like it's still unfair in that sense of if they're gonna get justice for Justin Bieber, then they need to get justice for all of the other children that are being human trafficked. And they're doing the same thing too.
And also, maybe it could be. It's sad that it is Justin, but I have to wonder if it were maybe, and somebody of color, if the outrage would have been as high. So maybe that's why
That's why they're
they're
using
using
Justin Bieber
Justin.
as the forefront. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To create the outrage. Well, look at what this guy did to this little young innocent, and again, they're doing it to other innocent children. And I do feel
Right.
bad for Justin. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he was an innocent 15-year-old kid with, played the guitar with dreams, and he didn't know, that it ran this deep. But at the same time, it is much more than Justin, and all of them need to be persecuted. But go ahead.
Do you think I'm wondering, like, if it was me and somebody did something against my will, I'm going to the police and calling rape.
Yeah, but you gotta understand when he went to Diddy for when Usher took him to Diddy's house, he was supposed to stay there for like because when Usher was with Diddy, he literally had um what's the thing when you get guardianship? He had guardianship of him. He lived with him. Usher lived with him. And so when Justin Bieber went to Diddy, though, he stayed with him for it was supposed to be like 48 hours. And then it was during that time that he promised that he was going to give him his new a Lamborghini. And I don't know if I think it was during those 48 hours that whatever was done, he did take the Lamborghini afterwards. He did. He was spotted driving around in the Lamborghini. So he did actually give him the car. So there was an exchange there. There was an exchange. It wasn't just like, oh, he's gonna go around and claim this thing happened to him. Now, I don't know if he was just drugged and didn't know, which that would be jacked up, right? If he just thought he was having a regular drink and they drugged him up to do that to him, and then he realized it after the fact. But yeah, I don't know. But he did take the Lamborghini. So it's not like he could run and go claim rape or whatever. Go ahead, Joanne.
Even with the whole rape thing, though, I'm going to the authorities. What I've heard regarding that story is that whenever he had those parties, there were like LAPD and officials there. So it's kind of like he threw it in your face, like if you were to do that, I have them in my pocket. There's nothing that can happen. Plus, you hear all these rumblings about him being involved with taking people out and being having ties with like you know, gang affiliation and all that. And plus, I believe one there was a guy who they said is his fixer that they said could have been CIA, ex-CIA. So it's very convoluted. So going to say rape or whatever, you might not even get through because maybe it might just get back to him. And then what does that mean for you?
And then it just gets worse for you, basically.
Exactly.
But anybody else though, like, do you guys think? And this is kind of a tricky situation because when abuse happens, it's almost like the abuser has a certain type of control over the person, and you can hear him say to Diddy, "I love you," and things like that. It's and you have
Stockholm
to
syndrome.
understand that he was so young too when this all started. So essentially, his first being in love, you see what I'm saying, could be this whole situation too. So it runs way deeper than that. What do you guys think? Mhm.
I mean, and Justin was how old? I believe maybe 14 or 15. That's like a really impressionable age where you're starting to trust people. You're in an industry where your parents kind of turn you over to these adults as supposed to take care of you. And back then, Diddy was like bigger than life. Like everybody wanted to be his friend and like wear the clothes and be in the videos, and to see that, I mean, that is, I can't even imagine what that would do to his mind. I don't know, but I guess maybe on some level it was maybe Stockholm syndrome for him saying that, or it could just be intimidation. Like he just didn't want to get on his bad side. He kind of want to say, hey, whatever happened, I just want to be. I don't want any issue with you or whatever. Just still maybe feeling that kind of fear towards him too.
Yeah, and not only that, but this is the thing. Even if it happened the way that I just said, like it's already happened. You see what I'm saying? Like so now it's like, okay, well, do I shut this door and basically lose my whole access to fame and fortune and his dream that he had and go report this, or do I take the Lamborghini and be in the next music video? You see what I'm saying? Like what?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's already happened at that point. What do you do now?
Basically, I think it's more or less this guy doing whatever it takes to get what you want. They're letting them know, hey, if you want to be a star, this is what you're gonna have to be. This is what you're gonna have to do to be a star.
Yeah, this is what we
So
all. I'm pretty sure they told him this is what we all had to do.
yeah, so this is what we have to do. It's plenty of people that's going through that, and he's not the only one. I know Jaguar even mentioned Bashir from Empire went through the same thing, and now like he literally has like lost his mind type deal. So it's like an initiation. If you want to be a part of this group, if you want to make the money, this is the agreement that you're gonna have to do. It's almost like what's the word I want to use? Um, like an agreement type deal. You servicing an altar, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean it is ritual abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is ritual abuse. But again, it's still a little bit too perfect that it's only Diddy going down. And not only that, right after the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, by the way, now all the focus is on this. It's another whole, caveat here to the story. It's kind of like the shifting of the hand. Look over here, over here, over here. This is going on. This is more important. This is trending. Okay, this is trending. Let's not look at that, even though the election's coming up. Let's trend on this. Not that this is not important, but they're very good at that shift. And of course, the media is great with it too, shifting the eyes to what's going on over here. And then have you guys gotten a chance to see some of the information that's coming out of the book of his ex-wife, who, by the way, her last message to her friends was, "He got me." So they think that he killed her. Have y'all seen some of the content on the information she released in her book?
Who's ex? Oh, that's Kim. You talking about Kim
Yeah,
Porter, right?
Kim's
Okay.
book. Mhm.
I just ordered it. I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. I mean it implicates a lot of people. J Lo, yeah,
You can't find it on Amazon though. It's weird how they mess up the algorithms. If you search for it, you can't find it. Like I had to get the direct link from an article, and then it took me there. But if you just do a regular Kim Porter, whatever, you can find it. on Amazon.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious really to see, what's more that's in there. And from, some of the commentary on the book, it was like, she knew about, the parties and but it was what she saw being done to the children that really creeped her out. And that's what people have been saying. It's like, okay, it was what she did to what she found out, the tapes. She found out tapes because he had been keeping all those tapes. And when she saw the tapes of what was being done to the children, that's what got her.
Yeah, did you hear anything about that he was requesting for her and Cassie to collect their menstrual to use for rituals as well?
Oh wow. Oh wow. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. And somebody was talking about, the fact that, he tends to be very close with Will and Jada. Wasn't Felicia? I know I saw the post where was it Jaden that was kissing on Justin Bieber?
Yes.
Oh,
Also, Jaden was emancipated at 15, so you have to kind of wonder what wanted him to leave the house at 15 to be on his own.
wow.
So, and Brashear, I think, was mentored by Will, is what's
Yes.
being put out there.
Yes.
So, his case is very because he was such really good on Empire, really good actor, and then to see like that 180, and now he's doing. I think they said he's doing gay porn or
Porn.
something.
Yeah, he's doing porn.
So it's like I don't know. Like you kind of even wonder what about him though? Like why are they not talking about his case more? Because it's really sad what happened to him though.
Exactly, because it's like they're focusing on one person or just basically Justin Bieber is the main one the focus is on when it is much deeper than that. There's so many other people that this happened to, um, including probably Diddy himself. So again, it's just ironic the timing of it that now everybody's focusing on this, and then the fact that Justin Bieber is the face that's being used here as a way to take down.
Issues, do you think, because we talked about this in class, like a lot of times when they take these deals, they have expiration dates. Do you just think like his expiration date was like, okay, we're gonna give you this for like 25 years. So it's just kind of like getting to the point to that. So it's kind of like as if they know when it's gonna happen, but as far as how it's gonna happen, they do not know. So it could be one of those things as well. I don't know. What do you think?
So again, I mean, when they make these contracts with the devil or with whoever to get these, again, everything goes back to the trading floor. At the end of the day, blood has to be spilled and sex rituals have to be done because sex magic is what powers up the whole grid system for the demonic kingdoms. Okay, so this is a part of the process. And all of them know this. So again, I understand that, what's his name? Justin Bieber was very young. But at the end of the day, they know what is being done in they understand that. Everybody that's in the Illuminati knows that. So the question is, where was Justin Bieber's parents? Because he was like 15, when he went out here, we're all feeling sorry for him and everything. But why did his parents let him go over there to go?
Right. Well, his parents were there. Well, it's sad. I think that happens to a lot of parents, especially those that are not they didn't grow up around the industry or know of it. Like you have this impression because they live in Canada, so you have this impression of how things are. You have people promising you the world. I'll take care of your kid, and we've these look all these examples we've had, and he'll be in good hands. And somebody in a different country, this is like maybe your only hope for getting out of whatever your situation is. And of course, you should not by any means do that to your kid. But they saw an opportunity. It was money, and trusted these people, these vultures that clearly took advantage of this poor kid with talent. And like you said, that's happening. I mean, that's like age old Hollywood story, right? Like Shirley Temple and all these young actors and Corey Haim, and they all these things happen to them, and they've been speaking out, and nobody listens. And now we're people are just now finding out that, whoa, what he said was true. That actually happens. A lot of these top studio executives, that's what they do.
That's what I'm saying. They know this though. It's not like this is new information to us. If the public knows this, you know how much deeper does it go? You know what I'm saying? So if his parents let him go over there, let him do all these things so that they could make, and then of course he starts making all this money, more money than his entire family had ever seen in a short period of time. Again, they knew what they were getting into.
So you saying the parents knew? Um,
They had to. I
I
mean,
don't
think
know if
about
they
it.
knew though. I don't know if they knew that they were gonna. You know what? I agree with you. Some of them knew, like especially if they. I mean, I've heard stories of the parents kind of like, yeah, they knew, but I don't know in this situation if, because I even remember in a documentary they were saying that with Justin's situation, his mother reached out to the church, the Hillsong or whatever, asking for some mentorship for him. So I don't know if maybe that was her guilty conscience saying, no, okay, this has gone too far. Let me kind of really back a little bit. But I don't
Uh,
know. I don't know if on some level I don't know.
I mean, on some level, you're right. She didn't know to the extent of what would happen because, again, initially he went with Usher. So it was Usher that met with the mom and everything, and the whole situation where he's in good hands and all that. Then it was Usher then handing him off to Diddy. That's when it went left field. So again, the mother, you're right, because the mother did trust Usher, when they came to get him and everything. So yeah, I'm pretty sure she didn't know how bad it was going to be. But come on, we've all heard these things about Hollywood, right? Go ahead, Diane.
I heard this story one time. I think it was I don't know her name, but I remember she did an interview and she was just talking about um her being in becoming famous and it's if I recall correctly, her mom had that dream and it seemed like that dream was being pushed on her child. So there's that too.
There's what the dream about what?
Like when the parent, for example, wants to become famous and then they have their child and then they put that dream on that child, that expectation.
So they're kind of letting the child live out, the dream that they wanted, basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's one factor and I don't recall if that was specifically her case, but that was what I remember hearing. And then, the dangerous part is when someone has a parent like that who is ruthless.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to judge, but like that they want that fame so bad that they'll do anything for it, regardless of what it does to their child.
Okay. I mean, didn't a lot of the famous families kind of do the same thing with their children? I mean, when you look at even just how hard they were on, even if you look at the Jacksons, right? Michael Jackson, kind of all of them, and how much the family wanted them to be successful, and it kind of put them out there like that. I mean, people understand, I think, a lot of times the price that has to be paid for these things. And I think, after they happen, then after the fact, it's kind of like, well, we want justice and all of this. But if that's the case, why didn't you get justice before all the
But then
money?
I don't think anybody would have been willing to listen though back then. I think everything has its time. I hate to say it like that, but sadly, if this happened, this story came out like how old is Justin? Like is he maybe 28 or so? Maybe came out like 10, 11, 12 years ago. I don't think we would have believed it. Social media wasn't as it is now. I don't think the majority of people would have believed that. And if they did put it out there, what were the consequences though? Like, and also now we're learning like of these other layers where of course they're gonna self-medicate now because they have to deal with the trauma.
Mhm.
And then that layer comes conservatorship, the talk of that. And then that's a whole other thing that they keep them doped up to have control. I guess maybe that's taking the topic a different direction.
Yeah, I
But
mean, again, it goes back to even the programming, because a lot of times they have programmers, they have handlers. Yeah, to keep them under control, because otherwise, so many more people would be spilling the beans, right?
yeah, so I guess they all kind of work, not kind of, but they do work hand in hand with that. Like that's maybe the end game. Like when you look at Britney Spears, for example, I mean, who knows what happened to her? And now look at she's kind of like a shell of her former, like don't even recognize her. You have to kind of wonder what percentage of herself is even in there.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't know. There was trauma with Britney. I'm sure maybe some level she had that, but yeah, it just seems to me like anybody who's attained a certain type of fame had to go through this initiation, which is sadly, and it doesn't have to be like that because a lot of artists do well going independent. It's a longer route to get there, but they do well as also. But I guess to get to that billionaire status, then it seems like they have to have you do those things, which
Yeah.
shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. And it's so funny, the shirt that he's wearing that says literally invisible bully. Do y'all see that on his shirt?
Yeah, this guy, I remember like in the night, like he was, I don't know, like there was always something about him though. Like and I think I hear when I talk to my friends, a lot of them say the same thing. Like I think we all kind of knew that something was. I mean, it was kind of like an open secret, not to that extent what we're hearing now, but people knew. They knew what was going on. Everybody's saying like, "Oh, we didn't know." When you hear about Weinstein, "Oh, we didn't know." They knew, which is so sad that this it came to that. But yeah, they knew.
Yeah. So apparently it says that, Diddy's facing life in prison. Do you guys think life in prison is enough for this?
I think so. Give him some time in a whatever 12 by how much cell to think about what he did and for the rest of his life. And I mean, I don't think it's enough though. But that's the equivalent. That is the only thing I could see that would come close to what he did. But I honestly don't think he will get life though. If I'm being quite honest, I don't think so.
I don't think it's enough.
You don't think it's enough, Tiffany? What do you think he should get?
The death penalty.
But wait a second now. If we're going by our principles that
Hold
we're
up. Wait a minute. Hold up. Let's go. All right. So the death penalty,
Hmm.
you think that's what God would give him?
No, but well, I don't know what God would give him. I don't know what the justice for ritualistic abuse of children is. But anybody that does it, I know that's not what we should be wanting for them, but that's what I think he should get. If I was in charge of the law, that's what he would get.
Okay.
You should not be abusing, drugging and abusing. It's bad enough he did it to adults,
Mhm.
drugging and abusing men and women, because then at that point people can no longer consent. So now you are putting them in a place of where you're taking pieces of their soul, especially when you're sodomizing people.
Mhm.
So that you're putting them in a position of sin on a whole different level. They can't consent. You've traumatized them and fractured their soul, and then to do it to adults is bad enough, but to do it to children, you deserve the death penalty,
Hmm.
in
Okay.
my opinion. So
Okay.
I'm not saying that's yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's go with it if that's your opinion. Okay. So, but what do you think about the rest of them? Because again, Justin Bieber is not the only one. What about the other elites doing the exact same thing and not being prosecuted?
I don't agree with that either. I believe that I think it all should come to the forefront. I'm just watching it all unfold. I had a dream about this a long time ago. So
Mhm.
maybe about a year ago with him, Beyonce, Meek Mill, a bunch of them. And I had a dream. I talked about this dream in this class where I said I had a whole bunch of dreams about celebrities. Beyonce was also in the dream. And in the dream, I didn't know, I remember telling you guys I didn't know if it was an angel of light or if it was a demon. I didn't know, but it was a little figure. And the celebrities were leaning over and they had these heavy chains on them, like pulling them down to the ground. And I was in shock. Like I was in shock and I didn't know what was going on. And the being said to me, "Our God will not be mocked." And I got scared and woke up out of the dream. So I knew that as this stuff is happening, I'm like, the dreams are making sense now as things are coming to fruition. I think they all need to be called out, and anybody that abused, yeah, if you did it to adults, go behind bars, live out the rest of your days in prison. But if you did it to children, I believe everybody deserves the same punishment, because now you're messing with the innocence. You're messing with that, to where these children don't even know. Children don't even know. And you literally take a piece of their soul. And then what happens now? They become abusers. The abused become abusers.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Sometimes.
I don't think it's just him who should be punished. I'm waiting for them all. I'm just sitting back watching.
Yeah,
I'm I'm not
I
happy.
really pray that this opens up just the can of worms and all the tapes get released.
I
They
agree.
all get it.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
agree.
So we say sin is sin, and definitely doing something to a kid is definitely out of line. You know what I'm saying? Um, but if one sin is no greater than the other sin, you know, what if Diddy go to jail and get saved? Is he
Exactly.
forgiven?
Then
If
what?
he is he forgiven? You know, um,
I'm not in a place to say he's not forgiven now, because I'm just saying what I think he deserves as a punishment. But if he doesn't get saved before then, which diviners have come out already and spoke on this Kim Porter thing and Biggie Smalls and the fall of Diddy a while ago. There's this medium who's a demonic diviner, and she's like a psychic, and she said that Diddy's a hellhound. So
we
spiritually he's one of the devil's hellhounds.
Hmm.
So if he gets saved, but who knows? She's talking to the dead. I don't,
Do you?
but
Huh. Okay.
mhm,
Do you think Diddy is a handler?
yeah, probably.
yes, I do.
If a handler by handler, you mean like getting the people and grooming them and
Yeah.
channeling to different places, you know, yeah.
Or like a programmer, one that's used to, maintain the programming.
Mm.
I think he's a gatekeeper. I don't think he's a handler because he's too loud. I think he's a gatekeeper. Like in order for you to advance, you have to go through him.
Gotcha.
And handlers, I don't think you usually see them though. They're kind of like they're not like I think Diane who said it. They're not loud. They're kind of more in the background, kind of keeping things in order.
Yeah, but that's in that his
But
shirt the shirt that says invisible bully. So it was
oh,
kind of like maybe he's the one that's used to get information on the person to keep them in play in check, because he has the tapes, he has the parties. So, when people are drinking these things, they get the tapes. So he's maybe in charge of getting those tapes, getting that information. Because always they have to have something on you.
And then his shirt does say invisible invisible bullies. So that's this,
Literally.
you know, it what is a thing it says instead of hiding stuff, people are doing it now in your face.
Plain
So
sight.
because he's loud and he
Mhm.
can come to if handler's supposed to be quiet and out of place, but now he's loud and in your face. So it's also the signs of the times is that people are gonna be doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
yep.
Or a sign that he thinks he's untouchable and cocky.
I agree with that too. I agree, Tamia. I think that he is so narcissistic, so prideful. His king is definitely Leviathan. He thinks that he should have been put on house arrest in his Miami mansion on Star Island, and told the judge that he would not have any male visitors.
Oh, he said
Yeah,
female.
I'm sorry, not male, female. No female visitors. Like that matters when we know he's
yeah,
gay.
yeah, because there's a video out of him where he was bragging that he had so much power that he had a man begging for money and he made him do sexual favors for
Mhm,
money.
mhm,
What kind of man does that? And then he was just laughing and bragging. I have that much power, basically.
mhm.
Well, I think people think that money is synonymous to power. Most people think that. Do y'all think that's the case?
Everybody can't be bought. So you can't. And I think I don't know if it was Joanne who said a little bit earlier that the parents knew, or somebody was talking about how are the parents. Oh no, the parents didn't know. They do. You do know. If you, unless you're completely out of touch with your children, and there's no amount of money that anybody can give me to send my children off with strangers, let alone grown men talking about I'm going to look out for, or even women, because women are predators too. Oh, I'm going to look out for them, and you're not allowed to travel with them. They're spending days, weeks, months away from you. You don't know what people are doing to your children. And even if it wasn't sexual abuse, what if they don't like your children and they bullying your children, or mentally, you don't know what people are doing to your children. And you're sending them off for a check? Not me. So everybody can't be bought.
I agree with you, Tiffany. I don't even let my kids spend the night at other people's houses unless it's like a grandparent house.
I don't same, and they
You,
don't even spend the night at their grandparents' house.
yeah,
Like,
you have a bed at home. You have a bed at home. What you need to spend the night for?
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. That's another reason why I said, I feel like the parents should be held accountable here too, because can't you ask to go with your child? You see what I'm saying? Do they have to go alone?
okay, so there's another story. Um, I grew up. I'm a Nickelodeon and Disney kid, so a child. So I grew up watching a lot of Nickelodeon and a lot of Disney. And so there was a show on Disney called Drake and Josh, and there's a child star. Well, he's no longer a child. His name was Drake Bell. And he talked about one of the producers. There's actually also a documentary on
Netflix.
Max. Is it on
No, no,
Netflix about,
it's Max. It's Max. You're right.
yeah, Max, with the guy, the producer. I can't think of his name right now. He kind of, that thing was like a big wave for like a month or so, and then it kind of went away. Like one of the producers who, Dan Schneider, that's his name. Dan Schneider produced a lot of shows for Nickelodeon and Disney, and with like Ariana Grande, uh, uh, Keenan and Kel. He was like a big producer and creator of a lot of these child shows, but was a predator, had like this obsession with like children's feet. He would put a lot of sexual innuendos in the skits or in the shows and try to kind of mask it as comedy with children, for children, making the other, pretty much indoctrinating children into lust and sexual perversion. And one of the children in the shows that he produced, Drake and Josh, uh, Drake Bell, he explained what happened to him, of how his mom was first involved in his career. And they tried to push her out. They tried to separate her and say, like, oh no, we need him to do this, we need that. But she went with him pretty much everywhere. And there would be little moments where, the devil is patient. There would be little moments where they would be able to get him alone in certain meetings, but for the most part, she was always there. But there were other producers and creators that worked with Dan Schneider who were patient, were predators, and were just waiting to be able to get him alone. And then his parents got a divorce, and he went to live with, so he started confiding in this adult producer for the show. And that producer started, oh, I'm your friend, I'll take care of you, anything you need, you can come to me, you can. Long story short, he ended up living with his dad. No, I'm sorry. He was with his dad. His dad was with, I'm sorry, flip that. He was with his dad everywhere. And his dad was the one protecting him. And then his mom and dad got a divorce. And then him and his dad got into an argument because of this producer. And he went to go live with his mom, who wasn't as interested in his career. except for the money. And she would let him go do whatever and spend all this time with this producer. And this producer started sodomizing him, I think at like 14 or 15 years old, and having a relationship. And when he first did it, and he was drugged, he got him drunk. And when he first did it, he knew it was wrong. And he tried to get away. He didn't feel like he could talk to his mom. He had gotten into an argument. And when he wanted to talk to his dad, the producer would kind of like, oh, your dad is jealous of you and your career and wants control of your money and wants to steal from you and all that, pretty much putting that separation, that barrier there to make him believe that he can only come to him. And his mom kind of had an idea, and she just figured, she just was spending the check. She didn't really care. And he ended up having to confide in his girlfriend's mother at the time. And the girlfriend's mother picked up on it instantly because he was at his girlfriend's house. And while he was over there, the producer, who was in this now full-blown relationship with this teenager, didn't want to break it off with him, or didn't want to let him go. He called him like 30 something, like some obscene amount of times, like blew up his phone, stalker calling him. And the girlfriend's mom knew immediately something inappropriate is going on here, because there's no reason why this adult should be calling him. So his mom, any parent or any adult paying attention, you're going to know when something's not right. You're going to know when something's not right. And a lot of times you can be a parent as involved as you can put your foot down and say, hey, you want my child to be involved in this? You want them to do this? You can put your foot down. They'll make it difficult for you, but you can put your foot down. But they're going to try to scoot you out of the picture so that they can do whatever they need to do with your child, break them in, jump them in pretty much into the industry.
And also, I wanted to add to that Amanda Bynes was also a product of that, and we see what happened to her now.
Her story is so sad. She's another one who's fragmented like Tila Tequila. I feel like she's just completely gone. And so is Britney Spears' little sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, was pregnant by the same producer, Dan Snyder. Got pregnant by him.
Wow.
When she was 16 years old, and he was a full-grown adult. And if you Google him and look at him, you can just tell he's a predator. Ugh.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for the well, we'll keep talking, after this and talk about some sweet stuff. But I'm gonna stop recording for the Diddy part. So everybody agrees that he does need to be persecuted, and the other people need to too. So I really do hope that everything comes up.